Welcome back to the channel, guys. Hope we're well. So I just wanted to map out exactly what we're going to be doing today. Really exciting day today. I'm going to be meeting up with Conor Carlson, but a hell of a lot of love and respect for Conor. We connected online pretty about 6 months ago, stayed in contact, and obviously now with being out here in Dubai, thought, you know, why not get training session in, get a podcast in. So what we're going to be doing today is we've actually just trained a pool session, which you guys will see in the content today. Lots of kind of free-flowing conversations around, you know, investing, property, talking about obviously business coaching, mentoring, consulting, the space as a whole, which was really great. Gonna grab a bite to eat now. Obviously, since the last video, you would have seen me completing my shoes. So now the goal is simply just to kind of steadily titrate up and raise those calories and kind of get myself back into a well-recovered spot. So you guys are probably going to see the meal I'm going to order now. Actually, a little bit more food on my plate. And then finally, we're going to finish up the day with a podcast with Conor on the Raw Talk podcast. So for those of you that haven't listened to any of our episodes yet, what I'll do is I'll link in the description where you can find that podcast. This is specifically designed for entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, personal trainers, anyone kind of within the space that wants to really get a little bit deeper into people's why, their meaning, their reasoning, and just get raw. Because, you know, I was saying this to Conor off camera. I was saying this to Conor off camera. I think there's a lot more than meets the eye to you know, your everyday business owner. So yeah, really looking forward to that. But for the meantime, we've got a beautiful view of the birds behind us. It's incredible. We're in downtown Dubai, and yeah, looking forward to our food. So, reverse diet 101. I need to actually get myself 3 more carbs. I was saying this actually the other day, right? This diet in particular, I've never had a diet where my relationship with food's been better. And it's ironic because I'm doing the opposite of what everyone says to improve a relationship with food, and that's eating whole foods. Reason I say this, because if you have a very low amount of sugar, I'm not saying keto, I'm saying like actual processed sugar, just like crap, your body just operates at another level. And, you know, if you don't believe me, try it. Now, this meal right here, I know that now I'm on like 350 grams of carbs a day. Like, this is going to sound ridiculous. I've just done like a hard and heavy training session. I barely even want to have this because I just don't, like, my appetite is not sky high like it used to be. I'm sort of operating at like such a better level from that. But yeah, we'll chow this down and go hit the podcast. One thing I would say, guys, it's a random side tangent, right, is if you're someone who's looking to build their business and you want to kind of, you know, network with other people and, you know, kind of share ideas and stuff like that, like, actually getting yourself around like-minded individuals is an absolute game changer. Like, me and Michael were talking with camera just now, and some of like things that are coming out, and like the ideas and, you know, the thought processes, and it just, like, I know you probably hear this online a hell of a lot, but whether it be with Conor or Michael or Jack we're going to record with, or Tommy or whoever, like, you need to get yourself out of the crappy environments that you're currently in right now. And although that sounds like cliched, believe me when I say this, if there's one thing I want you to take from this video today with, you know, seeing the conversation with Conor and whatnot, is that, you know, you have a choice and you have an opportunity at any given moment, at any given day, to go and find those people and network with those people. The reason we record this video today is because I just messaged Conor and said, hey man, I love your stuff. I really respect what you do. Do you want you know, spoke to him, and then we kind of arranged the thing. So, so yeah, just a reminder to put yourself out there and don't be afraid of rejection. We're going to chow this down and we'll see you guys at the podcast studio. So guys, for those of you who watched the last vlog, you would have seen in the desert doing a photo shoot and stuff like that, and I spoke about the blood test I did with having like low testosterone, and also said that I was going to be complete, open, honest, but complete transparency, tell you everything. I'll start a test. So, you know, realistically right now, being a few days into it, you're not going to expect to see like an overnight change, but man, like I feel something. The best way I can describe how I feel is like, I mean, I'm a confident guy. I feel like I can talk to anybody, but it's almost like someone's almost dialed it up by like a few degrees. That's the best way I can describe it. So that's cool. I feel a little bit fuller. Like, I mean, I would feel fuller anyway because I'm eating more food, but where are we? Yeah, I feel a tiny bit fuller. I feel like because I've kind of done my research and spoken to my coach, understood the process, and looked at like the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, the whole shebang. Like, I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it. And of course, I certainly don't know it's any different to the gym or anything like that yet, and my sleep hasn't been as good as it could be. But one thing I'm really keen on doing, hence we're talking about, the Whole Foods, which is ironic because they put fucking chips on my plate, and I didn't ask for chips, but anyway, is I just want to like optimize this as best I can, because for any guys who's like ever thinking about jumping on or TRT or FES or anything, what you don't want to do is just use it as like, you got a bullet wound and you've got plaster over it. Like, you want to look after the other shit as well. Good sleep, good mental health, journaling, writing, a nice balance of like recovery and training. And something that I won't be doing just yet is going back to training 5 days a week. I'm going to keep it a whole, make sure that everything's in a good place. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know that I have started tests. There is actually a supplement a few supplements I was advised to kind of get as well. So like, there was some from, what's the company called? I can link it below. It's like Systol Max, Tarmastan, I believe, a few other bits and bobs. And then obviously for me, because I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing, my coach, very like grateful to him for doing this, just showed me exactly what to do. As in, right, you fucking get the syringe, and you put it in, you like this much mil for a thing, and you do this, and which sounds like a really dumb statement to make, but the reason I'm saying this to you guys is because for anyone who's out there, I can guarantee someone watches this video, is either thinking of doing tests, has taken tests, or they got their blood test results and they're in the fucking toilet. Like, I feel like it's important for there to be more knowledge shared online with like safe use protocols, because something that I certainly don't do is just fucking, jump on a load of gear and just not actually look after my health. So yeah, I thought I'd just let you guys know that I have started it. I will be feeding back my process. I will be feeding back my experiences. I will be feeding back how I feel and all of those different changes, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole shebang. And yeah, I'm excited for it. So that's an update. If we went back to like kind of 2020, I was asked by my manager in the gym to coach him, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I did it, and it was just like so fucking enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then a few more PTs then got attracted to me, and I thought, okay, well, I can certainly help a lot of these guys get off the gym floor into online coaching. And I never set it up as a business. It was always a part of my physique coaching, but it was always probably for about longer than it should have been, probably like a year, maybe even 2. I'd do a check-in, and then the final summary was, oh, and by the way, with your business stuff, do this as well.
Funny.
And when we were getting feedback, I remember there was a specific point I got sent a testimonial, and they only spoke about business. And I'm like, I'm not even fucking offering this service.
That's crazy.
And I kind of sat there and I was like, shit, this is a business. So I kind of kicked off from there, really. And it's funny because I definitely had a lot of imposter syndrome at first, because I thought, I'm a young buck, I'm coming, I've not got a huge audience, I've not got loads of testimonials and social proof. I almost felt like, to start with, and I realise this now, I almost felt like I had a point to prove. But after a year of doing that, I realised all the mistakes I made, like, things being led from ego and like trying to play everyone else's game. I've only realised this year that actually, like, that's bullshit. I need to just do my own thing, focus on what I need to be doing. Like, I remember listening to a podcast with you and on TMP's podcast. Yeah. Really resonated with that, mate, like massively. Because I think, like, you can see from like the sporting background that you genuinely give a shit about like excellence and performance. And that's kind of what I'm about, which hence why I reached out to you and wanted to connect with you. But yeah, man, that's kind of like how it kick-started, and now it's just been a massive passion project. And
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I've had like similar thoughts of like, coming into the industry, as you said, kind of like young gun, getting started. And it's like trying to find a balance between, one, showcasing what you can do for people, because you do have to a degree. Totally. So I even say that to people even when I'm on a sales call, I'll be like, look, probably see from my Instagram, it looks like I'm very financially driven. I'm actually not as financially driven as it may perceive.
100%.
I'm just doing that to kind of like show you what I can do for you.
But
like the biggest thing I actually want for you is for you to, build a life in the business that you actually want.
Oh mate, 100%. And it's like sex sells, Like if someone sees that you can make them a lot of money, then they're going to be drawn to that. But it's almost like you're then at a point where it's like you're selling what someone wants and then delivering what they actually need.
Exactly.
Like, you need to be looking at your systems, you need to be looking at your team, you need to be looking at like key staff and hires and stuff like that. So
because even a client of mine, a fitness coach, she works with people on like emotional eating, all that, and I remember she was on a call with me, and she's like, I have a sales call tonight. She's like, oh, I don't know if the person's a good fit. She just wants to lose weight. So she wants to help people lose weight, but there needs to be like a deeper meaning.
Sure.
And I was like, sometimes if someone comes in with a surface level reason, like she does, lose weight, don't almost turn her away. Think to yourself, I have the confidence when she comes on board I can get her to see a lot bigger than just losing weight.
Yeah, totally.
And then she had the call, got your run sign up, and it kind of shifted her perspective. And like sometimes it might just be that sexy, like lose weight, nothing more to it. But if you get someone into your program and you have like the ability to convey a deeper message,
100%.
then like you shouldn't be too picky necessarily upfront if it is quite surface level.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. I literally had a conversation with one of my clients, Adam, up in Manchester like a few weeks back, and it was the same thing where he joined on board, and the only thing we spoke about in that consultation was finances. And I kind of got an inkling that, you know, from previous advice that he'd been given, that's all that he was told to focus on.
Yeah.
And it was only when we kind of sat down and had that one-to-one chat, which is why I'm like enjoying the consultancy element of doing this, like kind of having those calls. You should realize like, fuck, there's so much more to this business that meets the eye, but because he thinks it's all about that financial driven goal, as soon as he then pivots into, well, actually, what's fulfillment looking like? Like, what are the things that, you know, you're not bringing to the fore? Like, for example, this guy, I sat there and I learned so much from him. And I'm like, dude, if you're teaching me things in an hour of conversation, then you need to get this on your page. You need to be on podcast, you need to be doing YouTube, you need to be sharing the message. And those have been the best conversations, man. And this is why I see, like, not now, because being completely transparent, I'm very confident in my knowledge, but I also know that my skill set isn't, like, I'm not going to jump on a call with you, you're not going to earn 50k months. Like, that's not my skill set. But I can see, like, many years down the line, I love the consultancy setup. Because the amount of, like, kind of one-to-one interaction you get with a person, that's my favorite part of this business, is the fulfillment stuff. This is why I have to remind myself that there are elements to it.
100%.
But it's just because I'm a people person, hence why I reached out to you, because I could see that in you as well. So.
No, I'm the same, because I'm like, so it's very easy to think like, I was only having this conversation the other day, like, I even, there's a business of a different business coach on, like fucking crazy business, but then with all the, I think he nearly did like 900k total revenue, but then when he actually broke down his costs, his expenses, etc., his total take home in terms of profit versus mine, I was like, the amount of stress you had in your business compared to me is completely different. His business was running 150 sales calls a week to hit that number. Obviously, he has a team in place to do it. But I was like, do you know where I'm at right now? I'm kind of thinking almost like profit and passion and fulfillment over scale. And even though I'm teaching my clients to scale, I'm kind of enjoying the phase of like, you know, working one-to-one, as you said, a lot of fulfillment. But then one, you get great results. Two, in terms of a business setup for me, profit's really high. So sometimes I think people can, you know, just think about ego and like, okay, how big can this business get? How big can the overall income get? But if your take home isn't going to increase that massively, you're just being driven by ego.
Mate, I literally was so relatable. That's one of the first questions we asked the client. It was like, right, what would your perfect week and perfect day look like? And let's build your business off of that, instead of how much money do you want to earn? Because like you say, you know, I mean, I've got friends who they'll do like, say, 100k months. I'm like, that's amazing. And they're like, well, realistically, probably 30k of that is just ads. You know, and it's like, that's phenomenal. But like you say, it's just like, what do you actually want from the business?
100%.
I said, what does your split look like at the minute?
To be fair, I'm not even following something specific. I do like, try run twice a week. I do a day for legs, kind of like chest and back day, push style day. Not too. He's using the cable there. He's using the.
Oh, he's using this. Using these. So you're very much kind of training for overall performance right now, just trying to stay like fit and mobile. And
to be fair, I haven't had like a specific fitness goal for ages, like since I've competed really.
Okay.
But I still just love training, and nothing. Just trying to kind of get fitter. I think a big thing for me, because I'll never be as big as I once was. You know, I'm probably like sitting at like 100 now. I used to be like 115 at like my heaviest, so you know, I can't go to the gym and like
running with 115 is a lot of weight.
Exactly. And so I'm training. I'm like, I know I'll probably never get as lean as I once was, because I don't want to push myself there. I'll never get as big as I once was. So like if I was just going to the gym for aesthetic purposes, I won't get any real fulfillment because I'll never be better than I was. There's no real progress there.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to like, that's probably why I added in the performance element so I can, you know, get better at something, but still enjoy.
And I think like anyone I've kind of connected with that has that sporting background, whether it be like football or rugby or whatever else, like you're always going to want to have some kind of North Star to you know, have yourself focused on. I don't know about you, mate, but I've certainly found, you know, if you're trying to fucking push food high and whack a load of carbs in and you're on calls with clients and team and stuff like that and you've got brain fog and it's just not fun.
I would never like, I don't drink much at all, but I never would like fully say I'm cutting it out because it's not like a big issue for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I get that.
I've had that conversation before that like, for me to like, so I could go 5 months without drinking, but I would never be like, I'm 5 months without a drink because it's not like an issue for me.
I get that.
But then I'd love going in like, oh, like getting an Aperol Spritz or, you know, if I was celebrating, went out for a nice meal, got an Aperol Spritz, like, it's not like deeper than that. I think, you know, it's probably for people who more feel form a bad habit around it, that, you know, it becomes more of a...
I think some people almost get like an emotional attachment to it, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, whether like, I think within this industry, like if you're out and about and you're socializing and stuff, I do think even now, a lot of guys and girls will kind of lean into it to be like, oh, they'll give me that kind of boost of confidence or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
In a weird way, it's a good thing I've got arthritis because it makes me kind of cut back on it.
Oh. And did you come from like a sport? Did you have any sport like growing up or still do? Or?
Yeah, so mine was actually golf. So I used to play golf at like at county level, and then I started to break into kind of a national team, and that was when I had the football injury. That plus I bulged a disc in my spine. It broke me off for like a year, and funnily enough, that actually got me into the gym. So I didn't really used to train much before that. But I mean, I must have been 18 at that point. So.
And because I think I've seen you're still golfing a bit, are you?
Yeah, just breaking back into it now.
Back into it, yeah.
So I must have had maybe 4 or 5 years completely away from it.
Yeah.
And getting back to that kind of like competitive level of sport, like we were kind of saying earlier, like having something as like a North Star, I think just does me the world of good, because I think that I'm so kind of obsessive with business and with work, so easy to just get consumed by it.
Yeah.
I was actually having a chat with my therapist about this at the start of the year. He said, your issue, George, is that for you, your work is God. And he was like, you worship it so much, you have to have something else.
Yeah.
Hence why, you know, when I do move over here, first thing I'll be doing is getting a golf membership, because it's just a break that I need.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, this is the thing I've loved about being like, I mean, I've only been here for what, about a week maybe? And there's just always stuff going on.
Yeah.
Whether it be like new projects or, you know, events or... But yeah, investing in property over here is definitely like top of my priority list right now. I'll get my base and then...
Yeah, it's like, so I've invested in 2 off-plan properties. Do you have any understanding of how it works?
I have a brief understanding. I had a short chat with James Sahota in person.
Okay.
That was an event in January. I was supposed to be having a call with him next week, actually.
Yeah.
So I've got like a rough understanding, but...
Essentially, I think off-plan's like the best thing to invest in.
Okay.
And they'll do kind of like a payment plan structure. So for my first investment in Business Bay, a place called Insta, so it's actually ready in, I think, just outside of Q2 of 2025.
Okay.
So it's like a 20% down payment of the whole property value. 6 months later, 20%. 6 months later, 10%. So then you have 50% paid off.
Okay.
So basically, in your first year, you do 20, 20, 10, 50% paid off, and then the other 50% isn't actually owed until completion.
Right. Okay.
But what you could do is sell it. So if you, let's say, if a studio was $1 million dirham, you have 50% down. You've essentially paid 500k. If that new property value goes up to 1.5 million, but it's still not built yet, it's just before completion, and you sell it, they'll give you 750k, so like half of the 1.5 mil.
Okay.
So you're like, hey, I just made 250 dirham, and no one's ever actually lived here. I just put my money in at the start. It was building, property value was going up. I went from 1 million to 1.5. I just made like the 250k on my 50%.
Okay, that's
Does that
nice.
make sense?
Yeah, that's quite appealing as well, because I guess it's quite a quick turnaround on that as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
100%. So you have the options. You're like, hey, do I just hold on because I know it's going to appreciate, sell beforehand? Do I keep it? And with off plan, you can't mortgage before it's ready. So that's why the demand it's still quite high, but demand for your property will go up so much when it's ready, because then people can mortgage it.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So if you said, hey, I want to sell you my property, and it was 4 months before it was completed, the person looking to buy it wouldn't be able to mortgage it. They'd have to just buy you out. Okay. Whereas if you said, hey, I'm looking to sell it when it's ready, someone has more opportunity because they can mortgage it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how it works. So it's kind of safe bet. So then the other option for you is keep it, short-term rental, long-term rental. You could be like, look, I'm confident this could go from 1.5 to 2 million in the next 4 years. I'm gonna just rent it out for the next 4 years,
Right.
get some of that money back, and then sell it when it hits.
Okay, yeah.
So like you have loads of options.
Okay, that does make sense.
And it's kind of nice because it's not like how they separate the payments. It's not. And what I always find it makes you work for it. It's like, shit, I know I have a property payment due in January, or whatever it could be. So I think it's because I think back in maybe like 2008, 2009, there was a crash. And I think a lot of that stuff happened here.
Okay.
And now they have what's called an escrow account. So if you're buying off plan, the bank account you'll get to transfer it is an escrow account. So that essentially means it's the business's money only when it's fully completed.
Right.
So it's almost like a partial bank account. So basically, if that project doesn't get completed, that's not their money to keep. It goes back.
Right.
So it's kind of like a safety net for you, the buyer.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's just a new thing. Well, not new, but I think since a bit of trouble in like 2008, 2009, they put that in place. So you kind of actually have full safety with investing.
Right. That's good, actually. It's really interesting you say that, because realistically, like, where I got that information from was like Dave down the pub. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Fuck.
Why I like property to invest in as well. I think like things like crypto trading, everything like that. I think you obviously have a lot of opportunity, but the amount of time I spend on my business, I don't. If I was doing that, I would have the knowledge to do well at it. I think with property, it doesn't require as much as my time to.
This is it.
So I'm like, hey, business and property, like they're my two things now. If I added in crypto or trading to the mix, I'm like, I know I wouldn't give it the due diligence it deserves to actually get the return. I'm like, okay, we're in Dubai. I feel like this is only the start of Dubai in terms of like everyone thinks it's busy now. I bet you we'll look back, be like, geez, remember in 2024 when we thought Dubai was popular?
Yeah.
I think it's just the start of it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I think investing here is like such a safe bet. So I'm like, okay, I'm putting my money somewhere I'm very confident it's going to appreciate. I don't have to be checking it every day or every week in terms of like what's happening.
Yeah.
I can just get on, do my business, build up money, put it in somewhere. And don't get me wrong, I definitely do believe about like diversifying, like in the future. Like but I don't think I'm at that level of investing yet where I have enough net worth where I'm like diversifying in a few areas. So yeah, for me right now it's just business, property.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's the appeal for me, because I started to dip my toe into crypto earlier on this year.
Yeah.
Complete transparency. I remember there was probably like a few weeks where I sat there and I thought, I'm spending a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I want to be, and that's why I wanted to get into property. So
yeah. Okay, so what's your thoughts on maybe telling clients or just for yourself, investing into things? And it doesn't even have to be like for future, it could be into a nice car, it could be into a nice apartment to live in. What's your thoughts on like being conservative and being like smart with your money versus something that may be, an expense to someone? They can make it justifiable, but they think it will help them in terms of their performance and like the person they want to be?
That's a great question, man. That is a great question. I think it very much depends on like what level someone is at like within their business. I do think that initially for me, and I say it to everybody, like if someone's just starting out in their first few years, the first place is just investing all of their time, their money and their effort into their skill sets.
Yeah.
I actually had a catch up call with a client recently, and he's, you know, at 15 clients, just getting going, and he was like trying to work out like the processes of like, right, what's my lead generation system going to look like? How am I going to produce content? I said to him, I was like, dude, you have one thing that I wish I had, and that is time and energy. You have so much time. Like if you're working with 15 clients, like invest all of that time and energy into that skill set, and obviously then over time.
Yeah.
I do think at the same time though, it is important to realize that I think when you're looking at a business, it's very easy to say, right, okay, this is the target, and then that client will then think, right, I'll be happy when, you know, I'll be fulfilled when, and you hit that point, you're almost at the top of the mountain, like, fuck, now what do I do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it does depend on what level of sort of business somebody is at. I do think there is some validity to, let's say someone's hit like their first 10K month as an example, and it's like, you know what, go have a trip and mark that as the occasion of the point where you achieve that thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think it's very easy to get caught in like a hamster wheel with it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's like even for me, like let's say when I initially moved to Dubai, like this apartment that I picked, there's like I could have got somewhere a good bit cheaper, probably like half the price. But for me, I was like, if I know I'm working from here, I know this is my environment. Also the people I'm surrounded by.
Yeah.
Also, if I put my money here, I'll be like in my head, like, okay, you need to now deliver on what if you expect yourself to be like that, and you want to be surrounded by this, and you want to pay this style of rent, like prove it, like become that person.
Totally.
Where sometimes if you, let's say if I went for the cheaper option, I was like, hey, I'm just going to stay in this place, you know, save up, okay, but then could have I got a mindset of like, oh, what's the point? Like I'm just in this place anyway, it's fine. So you obviously have to be smart, but I definitely think there's a point of like doing things that make you almost elevate yourself of like who you want to become.
Mate, I agree with that so much. So much so that I remember as soon as I got into the business coaching space, I thought, okay, I need to change my wardrobe now.
Yeah.
Because you know I need to act like that person and dress like that person and respect myself a little bit more. This is a flashback to when I was 18 years old, right? I had like massive social anxieties back then. And I remember going onto YouTube and looking for like dating advice. And I picked something up and he said, right, what would James Bond do? How would he act? How would he talk? How would he stand? I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. And I remember I started like trying to practice that, and I thought, like later on in life, I was like, fuck, you know, if you want to achieve those things, you need to act like that person. And you know, like you said there, for me, when I'm moving over, like you say, I could go, oh, people say Marina's expensive, I won't live there. But I'm like, yeah, but that has everything that I want. It's got the coffee shops, it's got the networking, it's got the gyms, it's got the things. So
it's like one of those things. It's easier to, is it Elon Musk that said it? It's easier to make 10K than save 10K.
Yeah.
And I think even though that's not essentially, but it's like we move money to make money, and obviously that's into our business, into our skill set. But that also can be into like where we're living, our environment. You know, it could be if people are into cars, the car that you're driving to like elevate, you know, your performance day to day. So I think usually if you hear someone's like saving up to work with you, you check in on them a year later, they're still saving. So it's like sometimes it's obviously firstly investing into yourself, your business, building momentum, building confidence, and then it's like not being afraid to push yourself.
Mate, and it's funny because I think that all starts with mindset ultimately. You know, I think that, like you said there are so many conversations that we've had in the past where someone's, you know, waiting for the perfect time or the perfect moment or to have enough money, and it's like, well, all that's assuming then is that, let's say you're saying, oh, I want to be less busy, and it's like, well, as soon as you become busy again, that assumes that then you're then going to quit on the thing. It's like, why not just like start now, start tired, start, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's never going to be a perfect opportunity to jump at something. Property on paper, yeah, sure, I could wait another 6 months, invest in something to like a higher degree, but I'm like, I know I've had the thought for several months, I don't want to sit on that any longer than this.
An investor said something to me, he's like, okay, today's not the best time to invest in property, because the right time is always 3 years ago. So it's like one of those things, it was always, because property just keeps going up, so for both of us, it would have been good if we could have invested a few years ago, but it's just like, as soon as possible. Then just what you were saying, I think for me, what I kind of said to you in the change room, I usually actually find lower seasons like November, well, not even low seasons, but November, December, it's like, for me, I always get the itch to invest into things. Because I'm like, I can kind of notice people are like dwindling down, and I'm hearing a lot of Christmas talk. I usually get a bit of an itch to like take things up a notch myself. And I think if you get in the habit of doing that, the time seasons don't become a thing to you. You're just someone who can, you know, grow when they want to grow. You know, if you want to take a step back when you want to take a step back, and just have that kind of consistent consistency of like doing things on your terms.
Yeah, totally. You know, like a great example of that. Literally yesterday, jumped on a call with one of my team members and just said like, look, there's this mastermind I've seen in America. They're doing like a 3-day kind of course there. I think it was like 2.5K a seat, and I'm like, I want as many people from my team as possible in that room. So I want us to be there together learning. I think it's like the 7th or the 8th of January. And I just thought to myself, like, realistically, I could save money and go there myself, but it's more the actual traveling there together as a team, having the meals afterwards, having the conversations, everything else like that. And that's another reason why, you know, with the Dubai move and stuff like that, it's going to be here, London, California, back to Dubai. I'm like, I just want to be making sure that we've planned everything out this month and next month, everything's set, and then that's almost just like the cherry on the cake of, right, we're sorted, but now this is something else that we can have.
Sick.
But yeah.
Sick, man. Sick.
To be fair, that's actually something I have started doing with my team, is putting them on a course and say like, right, I'm going to pay for this course for you. All I want you to do is learn it and teach me it. Just because then we all win, you know? I'm not even sure how many sets I've done on that now.
I actually don't notice I definitely think it's like personality dependent.
Yeah.
Because I actually know someone who feels they do know the difference between like men and females, and they've just shifted more to one than the other.
Okay.
I think it's such a mixed bag. I feel it's person dependent. I actually don't think it's gender specific.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like I used to think that I'd work with men and the thing that they really wanted was status, and that women really wanted security. And although that can obviously still be the case, like you say, I've worked with men who are the opposite, women who are the opposite. I think for me, like the trait that I like the most is just almost someone being like open-minded to new information. I think that our most successful clients are all very open. Oh, I didn't think of that. Let me give it a shot. You know, beta test things. You know, put the feelers out there. And I think it's very easy for a lot of coaches, particularly coaches who are just getting started out. Here's the marketing flow. Here's how I want you to run it. Touch base. Oh yeah, no, I'm going to push that back a week. And you're like, I think with like achieving big success, it really is just instilling that belief in someone that they can do it. If they fail, it's like, okay, well, let's learn the lessons from that.
I think two things you touched on there that I always say, because I get a few clients ask me like, hey, your best clients, what do they have in common? No ego, which is kind of to your first point of like happy to do things. I almost find a lack of confidence in people who have like a wall up. Do you know, I even remember when I did fitness coaching, we coached a lot of coaches, kind of similar to you. And you know, I could be speaking to someone and he's like, oh bro, I don't need a coach, I'm a coach myself. And it's like, oh, like you obviously have an insecurity that to feel like you needed to say that. So I think ego is a huge thing. And a lot of times that does come from insecurity. So someone who has, like for me, if you give me advice around my business, I don't have an ego, I'd be open-minded to hearing what you have to say and take it in, instead of like, almost like a self-defense mechanism. So that's definitely one. And then two, what you said, speed of implementation, huge. That's like, for me, my best clients, tell them to do something, they just get it done, rather than just 100%. Think about it.
The way I see it, it's like success loves speed, you know? If you can give someone a piece of advice, you touch base that evening and it's done, you know that, you know, realistically, it's like you mentioned Elon Musk earlier. The speed in which he will trial things and test things and refine things is just fucking insane. Like I remember reading his book, and you know, not saying that I'm going to go out and do this, but he had a staff member that he had on board for I believe like 12 years, 15 years, and they made like a massive fucking mistake. And because it wasn't in line with their company values, he basically texted someone and said, yeah, they're fired, and then that was that done. And I thought that is absolutely savage and cutthroat, but it's that speed of decision making that allows him to be who he is.
100%.
And I think that's, you know, with all of our clients who are fucking crushing it, it's just they've made the decision before you even had the thought, you know? They just move fast. And that's why they're doing the things they're doing. And then when people wonder, like, what is it? What's the tactic? What's the thing? What's the ad? What's the process? It's like, it's all started here. You've laid the plan, they've just gone and done it.
But then my love of like following him started just to love Blackburn. And then I've been supporting them since I've been like 10.
Love that, man.
So yeah, random one, but that's...
Yeah, it's funny actually. We bought Brad Friedel for like 2 years, and I think he was like our oldest goalkeeper at the time. He went from Blackburn, I think he retired at Chelsea, I'm pretty certain he did, in the reserves.
Did he?
Yeah, because they brought him in to basically give some experience to some of the younger goalkeepers.
He went to Blackburn to Villa, then he went to Tottenham.
Yeah. And I remember being in high school and all of my teachers were like, you should be a rugby player, because I was like playing golf and football. Played a few games, they slotted me at second row, because I grew up like a pretty overweight kid, like pretty much my whole life. I was always had a bigger frame, which is like the polar opposite now. I've just like slimmed way down, so I just like being this way. But yeah, I do enjoy my rugby. I've just never really had like a network that are into it so much. Yeah, because you played at quite a high level, didn't you?
No, well, school level in Ireland is like quite high. So in Ireland, a lot of like the Irish internationals you'll see now, they'll have kind of come through the school system.
Okay.
So I just played schools, and then I went to like in Cork. There's like 2 main rugby schools. So I went to one of the 2.
Okay.
So you're just naturally at a high level by going to that school.
Right. You know what? Great question. I get asked this all the time, and I think that a lot of kind of mentors almost fall into a camp of either, no, we believe this way or we believe this way.
Yeah.
I'm super flexible, man. So we do offer pay in fulls, and we do say to clients like pay in full are a great kind of way of getting a cash injection into your business. But equally, I do know that from like a security aspect, especially for clients, it's a wise decision to diversify that.
Yeah.
Like for us, let's say we do a few calls in a week and they're all paid in full. We might actively say to staff, like, look, let's just do some, monthly ones or offer that, or whatever it may be, because it makes sense.
Is that for your own offer now for the business coaching?
Yeah. That's for our offer and also for clients as well.
Yeah.
Like I think that the thing is, it's interesting because I think for marketing purposes, it's almost easier to have a very strong like for and against. Like we do this, we don't do that. This is good, that's bad. When people are like ads are shit or ads are amazing. Yeah. When people are like only do upfront or don't do upfront, and I'm like, I definitely think that we often sit in the middle in the sense of we'll almost diagnose what we think is best for the person sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you guys tend to run with that?
Yeah, I think it is kind of like a mix. I'd be the same for you. It would be kind of like a mixed bag. Like usually a lesson a mentor told me, and I think it's very true, because it was even when I got into business coaching, even though I've done it with my fitness business, it's like you learn again, and I was like, oh, if I get too many paid in fulls in, I won't have a recurring rev. And he's like, what he said to me was, it doesn't matter when you get paid as long as you do get paid.
Yes.
I thought that's very true. So even like sometimes clients will ask me, be like, oh, I heard that I've done a 6 months paid in full with someone. I've heard it's better to put them on a monthly recurring revenue after the 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool, that's definitely an option. But let's just give another example. If, for example, you 4 months into the 6 months, saying, hey, we're running an offer this week, if you extend for another 1,500 for 6 months, you get 2 months for free. They pay you that 1,500 4 months into the 6 months, for argument's sake. You get that there and then. If you were to put them on a monthly subscription of $250 a month after the 6 months, it means they don't pay you the initial $250 until month 7, and you don't get that full up 1,500 for 6 months. So it's essentially taking you 8 extra months to collect that 1,500 the person gets in month 4.
Yeah.
So much shit can happen in someone's life, like that can unforeseen events that can come up that wouldn't get you that full amount. So usually my mindset is like, if the opportunity is there, try to get it. Obviously not everyone is open and willing to make that investment, and then we can add in the recurring revenue. But don't just be like, oh, for safety, I just want to put this person on monthly and get $250 a month. Yeah. It's like if the opportunity is there to get 1,500.
That makes sense. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like to put it bluntly, their money's better in your pocket than theirs, because if you leverage that and invest it and put it in the right areas, then it's there,
Yeah.
I think it's more of almost like a mentality thing of someone like not kind of dictating their month's success on like what's my stripe saying this month, and more like the overall kind of health of the business and all the other factors as well.
Yeah. 100%.
I think that's the easiest way for someone's business to drop is every single month go like, right, number one, what's everyone else doing?
Yeah.
And number two, what does my stripe say?
Yeah.
And like if you look at like, you're just going to be unbelievably reactive with your marketing. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think as well, just like the points, I would get someone to push a monthly. Sometimes my clients have figures in their head. I don't want my monthly recurring to hit under 10.
Yeah.
So then if there's something there and they have a certain number they feel happy with, we'll push more on the monthly. Yeah. But aside from that, I'm like, usually on a sales call, positioning away for an upfront paid in full. Not everyone affords it, so you will get monthlies anyway. And a payment plan structure I like then, something I do for my own mentoring as well, is like you might have seen me post about it, like a higher down payment and then like a monthly subscription.
Yes.
So great example. Let's say if someone's moving to £300 a month, and they're like, hey, I'm currently at $250 a month. I want to increase my prices to £300 a month. Their LTV on $250 a month could have been, let's say, 10 months. So they were getting 2,500. They've now increased it to $300 a month. Someone's only staying 3 months at the $300 a month because it's just a bit too expensive. Yeah. So now their LTV's gone from 2,500 to 900. Whereas if they could do, okay, it's a 550 down payment month 1, and then it's 250 a month for months 2 to 6.
Yeah.
Over the course of 6 months, that's 1800, which equals 300 a month.
Yeah.
But what we've done is, on that initial call, when the person's more motivated, you can build obviously a bigger gap from where they're to where they want to be. They're excited to get going. You say it's initial 550, they have that payment out of the way, and then all it is after is that 250 monthly subscription. So the chance of them leaving when they've paid a lot month 1, and when it's a 250 versus a 300 along that process, drops a lot. So it's like, try to increase your prices almost through that structure instead of just a straight monthly.
And the cool thing about that is obviously then the client's getting rewarded for loyalty.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
And it's not vice versa of suddenly like these hidden fees and hidden costs and everything else. So
exactly. And that's usually what I say. So like, if you would do that, to get someone in, it's like, oh, you have lifetime access at that payment. Like if you come in, it's this initial 550 to join the team. It's 250 a month. You can finish after 6 months, but if you want to stay on that for 250, it's fine. And then they can have a peace of mind, being like, hey, it's just this payment, and then it's 250 a month. And I think it works well from a client retention perspective, 100%, and just overall LTV. So I'll never, for my mentoring, I'll never put someone on a straight monthly subscription, because there's so much work that goes into that first month. There's so much value that's given to someone in the first month. I just have like a down payment and a lower monthly. That's just how I work it. And all I do is keep increasing my down payment rather than increasing the monthly. Just how
I hear that. No, that's cool, man. And then, as you're saying, when would you then say to those guys, like, right, now let's diversify with like a higher ticket option or a lower ticket option, or would you tend to get them focused on that kind of core program mostly?
It really depends on, I think, capacity, and I think capacity will be a huge thing there. So for example, I have a client there, actually a couple, but they kind of coach separately. She has a really good niche at the moment that's working really well for her, like in female hormones and stuff.
Okay.
And she's not ready to hire a coach, doesn't wanna, cool. She's like, oh, I'm stressed with the amount of inquiries I'm having. I don't really want to take on any more clients. So I was like, well, one, you can say no. 2, you can charge whatever price you want. So like, just keep increasing your prices. So for someone like that, I'm like, increase. To be fair, for a lot of I don't push like crazy. I'm not someone who like, to be fair, like sometimes a client starts with me and I might not even say increase their prices. I might just be shifting how they offer it. Maybe how much they're looking for in that upfront package, for example. I'm not someone who just like, a client starts to me, they're charging 200 a month, and like, okay, let's do a 2.5K program. Like, I don't do that. So I think you can still make a lot of money without like super high ticket. So I would say for most people, I'm kind of like middle of the road between that like 200 to 300 mark, and then if we do see an opportunity to add in something higher, we will. But it's usually just kind of like building. It's really dependent on the person, because let's say, again, if someone didn't want a team and they're like, I just want to coach myself, I only have X amount, then the only thing you can really do is keep increasing prices.
I like the fact that you say that though, because I think like it's important obviously as a business owner to have like certain strategies and systems. However, I personally believe that people can almost over systematize things in the sense of, okay, you are here, that means you have to do this. And it's like, I don't think that's, for the way I like to kind of deliver the business coaching, I think that, like you say there, we'll have clients who naturally will fall into being the educator and being someone who can come on. And for example, we've got one of our clients, Lauren, who she's a posing coach. So I'm like, right, naturally it makes sense to potentially, build out resources back end and offer that as a tag on and have that as like an ascension, I guess. Whereas for like somebody else, it's like, we'll have clients coming in and saying, maybe they're at 20 clients, they're like a little bit newer. They'll say, right, I want to deliver a weekly webinar and this education and the school platform and and I'm like, with where you're at in your business, your clients just want a result. They're not interested in that stuff right now. So,
100%. And that's why I completely agree. Like, someone was trying to give me advice on my business and saying I had to like systemize them more. Like someone comes in, if they're doing 5 to 10K, this is what you teach them. If they're doing, and I get it, and it will work to a degree, but there's so much more, obviously it requires more of our time. So people will say it's not as scalable. But when our main goal right now in our life is service delivery results, then, I just think working one-to-one is is massive because, again, everyone has a bit of a different, even for example, the client came to me from a different mentorship doing, I say 5,000 to 6,000 a month, quite a small following, and also has messaged all their followers.
Right.
So we really have to do an ad strategy. I was like, we're not just gonna get clients from nowhere.
Yeah.
But for most people who come to me earning that amount, I wouldn't go there. I'd be like, you know, I've helped people get to, even like one of my clients got to £53,000 a month. Ad spend was only £500.
Yeah.
So I'm someone who like, I can leverage organic really, really well. But then there could be someone in a completely different case of like, really small following, message everyone already, and it's like, okay, we're not just going to magically get new people on us. Of course, we could do cold outreach, but if we put a small bit of money into a smart ad strategy, let's do it. Whereas then, as I said, someone else comes to me, someone last month, he was doing £17,000 with his audience, with what we could do, he was able to go to 30k with no ad spend. So like, again, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's not like if you hit 20k a month, you have to do ads, but before that, don't do it. Do you know, it's not a thing.
It's funny that you say that actually, because we had to pivot earlier on this year because we were like, right, we're building this mentorship, and I'm like, the way that we deliver things, we're not really a mentorship. We're actually just like doing business coaching.
Yeah.
We're doing the check-ins, we're jumping on the calls, we're delivering this piece of advice. And what I found myself doing is, previously the onboarding call was one-to-one. I'm like, this is our system, and I kind of sit back and I'd watch the recording and I think, yeah, but after 3 weeks, I'm changing that advice because that person needed a different thing.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's not jumping on board and saying you're at 5k do this, you're at 7k do this. It's like, okay, how have you got to here? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And you know, what kind of opportunities lie with what you have in front of you?
100%.
You know, we had one of our clients on board who she had like her following was like 8,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, what's your lead generation strategy? She said, it's all word of mouth. And I was like, right, what are your DMs looking like? And she was like, oh, I'm terrible at DMs. I never use them. And I'm like,
so much opportunity.
do you know what I mean? Yeah. So totally,
exactly.
Totally.
I even something I put in a client onboarding form before they get started. It's like, if a new CEO came into your business tomorrow, what's the first thing they would implement or change? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that really gets you as a business owner, or a client as a business owner, to think, okay, what's that thing I'm putting off that I know would move the needle, or I know would do things?
Yeah.
So I get an understanding of their thoughts around that, what they feel is working, what their goals are, and then it's kind of like a specific strategy based on them.
Yeah, I love that, man.
W.
How do we ensure that coaches kind of physique, kind of the standards remain where it is, the systems remain where it is, whilst we grow this brand new thing? Because, I mean, I don't know about yourself, but I certainly found that, although I would never want to get distracted, we're now in a place where we're not.
Yeah.
But I guess for anyone who's kind of looking to that, like create their own like new business or new brand or new identity, like what did you find were the roadblocks and how did you overcome those?
Yeah. So I think initially starting out, where it probably worked well was my role was probably set up that I could do my second business for probably like 8 to 12 months anyway.
Okay.
So I probably had a year of just working in my fitness business without doing fitness coaching, without doing any of the lead gen, without being the face of the brand, just kind of in the background. So I was almost set up to do it for a while, and that helped because I was able to make sure everything was in place. So obviously having really good coaches in place, having VA setters in place, content was being sorted because I wasn't like the face of the brand. So really the last thing, and probably the hardest thing for me to get away from, was like the sales calls aspect.
Right,
so I was still doing that quite a bit when I started the mentoring. And then when I eventually was able to delegate that and move into the new business, that was which kind of gave me that ability. I suppose probably it's an interesting one, probably the bottleneck nearly more would come from the business coaching side of things. Because I don't know if you have experience of this, but it's easier to work on the business that's built.
Yeah.
So for example, I could wake up and I'll be like, oh, I'll just do stuff for my fitness business. Because I'm like, there's the team there, there's people to get back to, there's shit happening.
Yeah.
It's like with the business coaching side of it, do you know, all those things are at a much lower level of kind of like, so it's much easier just to work on the thing that's already built, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
And even I think we can have, I think another probably mental bottleneck I have is like, even a good friend, old mentor of mine said it to me, he's like, you can kind of stop putting your stop working on it as much as you are. He's like, the thing's built, the team is there, everything's happening. You know, it's a well-oiled machine without you.
Yeah.
So why are you sitting down and just getting work for yourself?
Yeah.
So that's something I felt as well. If I wanted to get busy doing work, as I said, it would just kind of lead me more back to the fitness business. So I suppose probably didn't answer your question, but more the bottleneck has come from that side of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think like naturally as human beings as well, like when we've got like a certain flow or a certain structure or a certain routine, like a big part of you without even realizing will attach an element of your identity to like one side of the fence more than the other kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's almost like allowing yourself to cut off a piece of yourself to let that flourish in a different area than
Yeah.
it. And I think a big thing as well is almost like establishing that identity online as well. Because if someone's only ever known you as, you know, Conor the physique coach, and it's now like, right, Conor the mentor, and then, you know, Conor, you know, working within the CEO, yeah, it is an interesting one. That's definitely something that I found the first year.
Yeah.
I would, like, for example, I'd meet up with a friend and they're like, oh, you're mentoring now. And it's it's not you're a mentor. It's like, oh, have you started? Do you know what I mean? So I do think it takes a little bit of time. I actually think that's why, you know, complete transparency, we didn't run, or we still haven't, with this current setup, we haven't pushed into any paid advertisement because we're like, we want it to be so solid, so established, like build that reputation organically. And then once we feel like all the moving parts are there and we've established that brand, as soon as we launch it, a complete cold lead could see that and go, oh, okay, right. They you know, look at all of this, you know, background that's built there, kind of thing. And that's not to say that ads are bad, because ads are fucking brilliant when you use them, right? But for us, we almost had to kind of go, just be patient for a moment here. The time will come.
100%. I think as well, it depends where. Even for me, there's like a lot of lead generation strategies I haven't done for the business coaching because I haven't had to. Because at the moment it's one-to-one, so client acquisition hasn't been the biggest thing for me. As you said, it's probably building a reputation, and that reputation, as weirdly as it could sound, could even be for future clients of yours in 2 to 3 years. But literally just that you become a staple name in the industry, like that being the goal. So it's like, I don't need to work with Everett now because I wouldn't be able to work with Everett now. So it's like, I don't actually need much clients to take on board, but can I be doing a content strategy in a way that I'm planting seeds in people's heads of like in the future? Because as you know, I suppose it can be quite a good thing for us from a business coaching perspective. Everyone tries everyone, and I actually understand why they do, because I think you learn, let's say if someone signed up with you, you give them like one perspective that changes their business. They come to me, I have a slightly different perspective that maybe they haven't heard before, and that does it. Then they go to mentor business coach number 3, and the same thing happens. So I always said that I like masterminds and talks. If someone's up speaking, if I can just like learn one thing from what they said, they'll probably tell me 100 things. If I can just take one of the best things I heard, implement it or do it, you can like change the game. So that's why I actually do understand when people go to different people.
Totally, mate, totally. And I think that's one thing that we really try to focus on is because I've experienced like bad offboarding and it left a bit of a sour taste. Our big thing is, okay, when the time comes, let's give you the best like kind of next steps we possibly can. So when you then go and work with this future mentor, you can look back and be like, that was a great experience. I learned everything I needed to do. I can now move on from that. That's how you evolve as a business owner.
100%, man, 100%. Have you started ads yet, or are you still waiting?
We're going to be stepping into that next month, actually.
Cool.
Just because now we've got almost like a bit of an essential model that we just built out. Funnily enough, we're actually launching that today. We realized that, like, realistically, we're having, just because of like the brand we're building, we're attracting so many, like, you know, been coaching for a year, want to get going. And we're like you were saying earlier with LTV. We're like, some of these guys that are the newbies, the LTV isn't where we want it to be. Just because they needed more of a kind of group program, and the one I was offering would help them, but it was almost like they weren't ready to absorb that yet.
Too expensive as well, maybe?
Sorry? That.
Too expensive,
Exactly that, you know. And it's like, you know, they'd get a couple of quick wins, but ultimately, if they're paying out, you know,
just doesn't make sense,
It just didn't make sense. But because we built that out, and we've got like more of a journey where someone can kind of go from, you know, their first UK to kind of building up and then like scaling up from there. I think once that program's set and established, that's when we're then going to be kind of pushing the ads a little bit more. And I feel like the team we got now, like I've been saying this, singing their praises. They're fucking incredible. Like, I love them. They literally, they're single-handedly changing. I know it sounds cheesy. They're literally changing my life. They're incredible. And like, I'll jump on a Monday morning and they've shared ideas with me on a Sunday, which is my day off, and I'm just sat there reading like, fuck, I wouldn't have thought of this stuff. And that's when you know you got a good team, you know? And you know, everyone I've worked with has been incredible, but it's more the perspective for me, you know?
100%.
Like coming with ideas I just would not have come up with.
Something, I think it's Cody Sanchez. She said it, for employees saying like, I want to earn more money. The business owner says back, how can you make the business more money? And I think that's so true. Like, people can get paid more based on how they perform and what they do for the business. But ultimately, for you as a business owner, for you to pay a team member more, it has to make sense. You don't just do it for a goodwill sake. So it's like you start sharing ideas, perspectives, things we could do as a business to make more money, and guess what's going to happen? So I love that idea of like getting them to, what's that called, entrepreneurship, I think?
Yeah,
When it's,
I'm like, this is exactly the same as the movies.
Really? That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit, my sister even says like she's definitely got it more aggressive since she's been there.
Oh, really?
Do you know, like, cause she would like commute to work and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's this very like, do you know, like, fuck you.
Yeah, literally.
Shouldering people out of the way. Do you know, so I wouldn't be able to, I'd hate to be in the mix of that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you find Dubai, like a lot of people say Dubai is fast paced. Do you notice that, or?
Good question, man. Yeah, I mean, I think it is and it isn't.
But sorry to interrupt. I almost think the fast pacedness is something we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you think so?
Yeah.
As like business owners, people who want to perform better, want to improve our business ourselves. I almost think it's like a fast paced nature we like put on ourselves.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what that comes down to is boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, because since I've been here, I mean, I've been here for a week now, and I found myself saying like yes to any opportunity. Because I'm like, well, why not? And then I looked at my diary the next couple of weeks, and I'm like, this is incredible, but equally, I'm probably going to have to say no to some things here because it's very easy to get swept up in that.
Yeah.
So I think it's fast paced if you allow it to be fast paced, and
Yeah.
if you're not willing to say no to things. I think that's been the biggest difference to me with the business growth we've seen in the last 2 years is actually saying no more often. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's as fast as you make it. Yeah.
I think you can live whatever life you want here. So, you know, it's like sometimes people just see it as like what you can see on social media with like the really expensive restaurants and this and that. And obviously there's an element to that, but there's also the complete opposite as well. So what I love about being here is whatever life you're looking to live, whether that's you know, chilling in your apartment, being able to look out at good weather, working hard, going to the gym, or if you wanted to, you know, let your hair down, so to say, and, you know, party and stuff. It's like you can kind of live, you can do whatever you want to do.
Definitely, man. Definitely. This is. I find myself saying this to the clients who are starting to achieve like bigger successes and are now like opening their eyes to shit. I can travel more. I can do this more. I can do that more.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder of the fact that like at the end of the day, you are the architect. You can set your week up however the fuck you want. But I think that a lot of us will get so used to like a certain pattern of behavior or a certain like working flow, whatever it may be, that you almost like your diary isn't giving you the life that you want. You've just almost like fallen victim to it.
Yeah.
And also another thing as well that I've kind of found myself doing this year is like allowing myself to live through certain phases. So, you know, for us, September and October was very much a maintenance phase while we did like internal stuff.
Yeah.
Previously, I would have been insecure and been like, have to make money, have to make sales, have to do this. Whereas now it's like, no, we need to slow down for a period of time now so we can speed up in November. But I think that just comes with experience, like you say.
100%. I think as well, like a huge thing for me, we kind of spoke about it, but you kind of said sometimes people fall victim to their diary. Sometimes as well, they'll fall victim to their ego.
Yes.
So they might be at a position where they're making enough money to live the life they want. They're actually really happy, fulfilled in their work, fulfilled in their life, everything's going well. And then their ego tells them they need to be doing more, making more. And with that comes a lot of stress, comes a lot of burden. And it's kind of like, okay, what I always try to remind myself of, like, Conor, like, remember what is actually the biggest, like, what actually is life for? It's for making memories, you know, being happy, being able to look after family, live the life you want. Outside of that, like, there's not much else to it. So it's like, yes, I'm driven to make more money, but never at the expense of those things. That's probably something, even though I'm still quite young at 28, I suppose I've been lucky enough to nearly have those lessons when I was like 26. I remember when my fitness business, doing our best ever month at the time, and probably feeling like the worst I ever felt. It's like, okay, me making more money and having a best ever month isn't going to make me happier. It could if I was genuinely happy anyway.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna solve issues for me. So like, work on yourself. You know, be happy in what you do, be fulfilled in what you do, and then leave the money be the icing on the cake, I suppose.
Yeah. Like in the UK, I believe if you're earning around about 7k a month, obviously like tax changes a fair bit.
Yeah.
And I had quite a few people kind of say, oh, you know, once you hit that point, anything more than that isn't going to add like any value to your life. And as you kind of push beyond that, I think it is kind of easy to get caught up in a number game. But as soon as you kind of recognize I'm not playing the same game as everybody else, like these are my priorities, these are my goals, this is what I want from my life, mate. Like the last year, I've never felt so fulfilled.
Yeah,
it's incredible. You know, it really is. And like being able to kind of go home and visit my mum and spend time with her and like show what we're up to, but also like this is the vision, this is what we're trying to create. Like, you know, for me, I built Coaches Corner because I truly believe that coaches could do better and be better. I think it's just like, if I ever feel a little bit lost of that, just getting reconnected with that why is just, yeah, it gets you up in the morning, it keeps you pushing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I can resonate so much with your content and the kind of stuff you put out, is that you can tell that like you genuinely give a shit.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see that.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's just in both of our natures, I'd say, like, there's no way I can sign up a client and not give them the time or attention they deserve.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't always work out. I think that's just the nature of like coaching and anything like that. That's just life. But I'll always care about someone. Like genuinely, like when someone starts working with me, I want to get them a result as much as they do.
Yeah.
And I think when you come from that place, you know, you have the right intention behind you.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So do you find with that, because I mean, obviously I'm sure we'll talk about this in the podcast, but with the style of the business that kind of you set up, do you find that you have to often cap the clients that you will work with on that kind of like more to one-to-one basis, or like how does that look for you?
Yeah, so I usually find, to be honest, about like 30 clients is like my sweet spot.
Okay.
Because at the moment I do calls every other week. So me with 30 client roster is 15 calls a week. Could I do more? Yeah. Do I want to do more? No. Do I feel my quality of service and my creativity would drop down if I did more? Probably. So a few things that I'm considering is improving the kind of system I have inside the business, so I can reduce a call to once a month versus every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because that'll allow me work with more people. And then, like in the future, we'll be having an option there that requires less of my time for, you know, people earning less. Let's say, like kind of what you're speaking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question about like 30 is kind of like a sweet spot.
That's cool, man.
For me. So obviously with that, there's only so much progress I can make with my current business model.
Yeah.
But the way I'm kind of seeing it is very high profit margins, earning well, getting good results, learning a lot, which is huge, and building my reputation. So that's what I said when I started. If I can just work a few years at like not scaling but just delivering, building that reputation, I know I'll have so much more opportunities in the future.
Yeah.
So I think people's issues now, fitness coaching, business coaching, they think they deserve something. So it's like, I deserve the team, I deserve to scale myself, but they might have not put in the stripes to do it. So if I started my mentoring and was like, I deserve to build this like I build my fitness business, it's like I haven't put in the work to do that yet.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. That's actually one lesson that my older brother taught me when I was younger. So we used to work as like groundskeepers, like cutting down trees and shit like that.
Yeah.
And the first 2 years of doing that, you get all of the shit jobs. Like, I give you all the crap. And he taught me, like, I'd moan about it. He was like, you need to pay your dues. Like, you need to do this shit stuff and then you'll get the better stuff. Yeah. And doing that for 2 years kind of taught me, again, like a little bit of patience, like take your time. And then a mentor of mine said to me a few years ago, it's like, if you want to make a lot of money, move fast, but expect the crash. Yeah. Like, if you want to build something that's going to like leave a legacy and like, you know, last the test of time, then don't rush it, take your time, there's no rush. Yeah. And it's so true. Like, you know, we look at the growth we've had and it's been like nice and steady, nice and consistent, which is great. I mean, obviously you're going to have ups and downs and things like that, but I look at that and think, could we be further ahead? Yes. Yeah. But would that be at the cost of upsetting some clients? Potentially. Yeah. Because it would be so money driven and building driven and not like, we've always wanted to take an extremely client centered approach. Yeah. And if that slows us down, I don't care, because I care more about my reputation than kind of building the biggest business possible.
100%. As well, I think it allows, for me, a big thing is like separation in the industry, you know, and okay, if could I build a group-based model that does okay-ish, people get results, and it's like average, people invest into it, and people say so about it. Like, of course we both could, but what's actually missing in the industry? For me, it was like, okay, there's a lot of people that do a group model, get to a certain level, and they know they need a more tailored approach to get to the next level. I was like, I am happy to be that guy for now. If that's what I need to do to come into the industry and be something.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, that opens up so much more opportunity because, as you know, when you have a reputation, when you have results behind you, there's so much opportunity then of what you can do with it.
So
Do you take all the sales calls?
I do at the minute, yeah. That's actually.
Have you noticed a difference from selling your fitness coaching to your business coaching?
Good question. I say yes and no. I think my style of selling is I've always been, because it's funny, because I actually had like one-to-one mentoring specifically on selling like last year, and the feedback, the con was, is that you're too empathetic and you'll become their friend. So I'm like, okay. So I often find that I'll jump on and I'm just incredibly curious to kind of find out about them.
Yeah.
But I find that I'm diagnosing more on that initial call because I'll then set a client up on a one-to-one basis anyway.
Yeah.
So I think the difference in selling, realistically, the only real difference is the fact that obviously because you are pitching a far higher price, there's kind of more, not objection handling. So I'm not a hard sales guy. It's not my personality.
Yeah.
But I think I find they take longer because there's more information required for me to kind of figure out what it is that we're actually looking for.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, it's quite similar, just deeper, I'd say.
Deeper. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think for me, like with fitness clients, I found, I think one, it's like more of for fitness, you have to sell a dream, so you have to sell a vision. For business, it's more of like a logical decision.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so for like fitness, it's like, okay, this is all going to be emotional based because you're not actually getting anything from it other than the confidence you want, the physique you want, that we have to both dream about in, let's say, the future. Yeah. So it's more of an emotional sale. I also think with it, what I found was, I feel people, if they didn't say yes on the call or they didn't take action, the chance of them coming back is a lot lower. They'll kind of like lose their thought on it. So I'd have felt, not that I'd have been pushing a sales way, but I'd have always tried to get the person signed up on the call. Yeah. So if you were on a call for me for fitness coaching, you're like, yeah, let's get started. I'm like, okay, sweet. I'll just talk you through the next step. Send you an email after the call. You got this, and this. We'll just take payment now. And I would have got that set up because I'm like, if you get off the call, I don't really trust you're coming back.
Yeah.
Whereas for business coaching, I've never taken payment from someone over a call, which even though I recommend my clients to do it. Yeah. So like if we're at the end of a call for business coaching, you're like, yeah, I'll sign up. I'll be like, cool. I'll just send you a link over after the call. Because I'm like, if you really fucking want it, you'll do it. Yeah. Like if you genuinely want it, you'll do it. Also, I know you building your business is a priority to you. Yeah. So yeah. So I've just kind of been one, probably more trustworthy in a way of like, if someone really wants it, they'll do it. I'm not going to make them do it. If they say yes to me, I'll take their word for it. If they really want it, they'll. Yeah, that would be one. And then two is more, I think it's a way easier sale. Obviously it's a much higher ticket, but like, yes, it costs X a much, but like you're doing 5k a month, you want to be doing 20k a month. That's a life-changing difference. Yeah. You should be expected to pay a life-changing amount of money to make that happen.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier about kind of like monthly or upfronts.
Yeah.
I actually find myself on the calls now, and this is something that I'd never done previously, but I find it's working well from a trust element, but also they leave the call understanding a little bit more about the processes. If I sit there and I'm articulating like, right, we need to fix your offer, we need to look at your market strategy, fulfillment isn't where it needs to be, and I'm kind of like almost adding these things up and figuring out how we would work through that. I'm finding myself getting to the end of the call and say, okay, so in 9 months' time, we need to work on these things here, and 9 months of coaching is this price, as opposed to saying it's either a year or that kind of stuff. And although it does take me, like sometimes I'll genuinely sit there on a call and I'll get my calculator out and figure out what the number's going to be. But I found that clients join then having that expectation of, okay, I'm working with George for 9 months, we're working on this, and this, and then we do our next call. That's then when like the next kind of steps come into play. Yeah. I find that with fitness clients, I would never have done that because that's like a daunting thing to talk about. But obviously, when you're talking about business, and like you say, from like a logical standpoint, there is going to be some level of time and effort and accountability that needs to go into that.
Right guys, so just wrapping up YouTube with Conor Carlson and a podcast as well. We'll drop the link for that podcast below. It's called the Raw Talk Podcast. But just want to give an opportunity to kind of just say a massive thank you. And mate, where can everyone find you across socials?
Yeah, so socials are boring enough. So just Conor_Carlson on Instagram. From my page, you can find my business coaching page, my fitness coaching page. And yeah, pretty much as simple as that.
Okay, amazing. And you said you were going to start your own podcast as well, right?
So
or more of a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I've done YouTube kind of sit down with clients, one kind of live coaching session, one more like sit down podcast. So I'm just building into, we kind of went back to the point about the importance of trusts in the industry. So I think a big thing for me is people seeing longer form content, which is probably why you set this up.
Totally.
So yeah, even if I get like a new follower onto the page, I'll usually like send them to YouTube or get them to see like a deeper understanding of me.
I love that, man. I love that. It's funny that you say that because we're doing like a very, very, very similar thing with that. Even getting like clients on podcasts or posting that on YouTube and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, a lot of love and respect for what you're doing, and I appreciate you coming on today, bro.
Cheers, bro.
We'll try that again. Cheers, mate. I appreciate it.